Silence is not weakness, it is power. The world wants you loud, reactive, emotional because noise is predictable. But creation doesn't happen in chaos. Creation happens in stillness. It happens in the quiet conviction of the soul that no longer needs permission to believe. The loudest transformations don't make a sound. The biggest breakthroughs arrive unannounced. That's the truth they don't tell you. Miracles happen in silence. You don't need to announce your vision. You don't need to beg for sympathy or justify your dreams. Stop explaining what you're doing to people who can't see what you've already built in your mind. Stop complaining about the delay. There is no delay. There is only a reflection showing you where your focus is. And the moment you shift within, the world begins its quiet, unstoppable shift around you. Complaining ties you to the old. Explaining drains your energy. Every time you explain your dream to someone who doubts, you give away a piece of your belief. Every time you complain, you rehearse a reality you're trying to leave behind. Silence is your shield. Silence is your sanctuary. In silence, you can feel the end without interruption. In silence, you can live the outcome before it's seen. That's not fantasy. That's the law of life. Hold your vision in sacred stillness. No updates, no apologies, no debates. You don't owe anyone access to your process. You owe yourself completion. The seed doesn't scream when it grows. The tree doesn't explain itself to the wind. Neither should you. Let your results speak. Let your alignment speak. Let your peace speak. The ones who move mountains do so quietly because their energy is focused on becoming, not broadcasting. Miracles aren't born from noise. They are born from belief so deep, so still, so certain that nothing can shake it. Not the outside world, not the timeline, not the doubt of others. When you carry that kind of inner fire, you stop reacting. You stop pleading. You stop waiting. You know that everything is already in motion even when no one else can see it. And so you rise without announcement, you grow without permission, you transform without applause. You no longer explain your silence. You honor it, because now you understand the deepest magic happens when the world thinks nothing is happening. And one day they'll see what appeared out of nowhere. Let them be shocked. Let them wonder. You don't need to explain. You were never lucky. You were just silent, focused, and unshakably aligned, because that's where miracles live. They mistake your silence for weakness, but what they don't realize is that silence is where real power lies. It's not in the noise, not in the shouting, not in the constant need to prove. It's in the stillness where the impossible begins to form. Miracles are not born in front of an audience, they're born in the secret, sacred space between your belief and your being. When you turn inward and refuse to let the world distract you, creation begins. In that space, you don't need evidence. You don't need approval. You don't even need applause. All you need is that quiet certainty that what you seek is already yours. The world may call it patience, but it's deeper than that. It's knowing, it's alignment, it's becoming so still inside that reality has no choice but to bend. Because when you hold the vision in silence, the universe listens louder. You don't need to convince anyone of your vision. You don't need to explain your process, your timeline, or your purpose. The people who truly get it won't need proof, and the ones who demand it aren't ready to understand. Every time you explain your journey to someone who doesn't have the eyes to see it, you shrink your own power. Vision is meant to be protected, not performed. When you constantly defend what you're creating, you open the door to doubt. Let your vision be your own. Let it mature in private. Great things grow in the dark. You don't have to translate your destiny to anyone. Let the results speak when it's time. Until then, stay focused. Your journey is not a group discussion. It's a personal contract between your soul and the life you're building. Guard it with silence. Honor it with discipline. Fuel it with belief. Every time you complain, you give energy to the very thing you want to overcome. Words are not harmless, they carry creative power. When you rehearse pain, frustration, and limitation, you give them roots. Complaining is not venting, it's reinforcing. You don't shift your reality by echoing what's wrong. You shift it by speaking only what aligns with where you're going. Silence is strength because it stops the momentum of what no longer serves you. You're not ignoring the problem, you're refusing to give it power. When you speak only of the solution, the mind and body align. Energy follows focus. Choose yours wisely. Break the habit of talking about the delay, the obstacle, the betrayal. Let silence clean the energy. Let it redirect your focus. A complaint today could be the delay of your miracle tomorrow. So stop feeding the old. Starve it with silence. You don't need everyone to clap for your evolution. You don't need their permission to become something more. Real transformation happens when no one is looking. It happens in the quiet hours, in the small choices, in the inner shifts that no one else can measure. Don't chase applause. Chase alignment. When you're truly aligned, you stop needing validation. You stop chasing confirmation. You begin to know, not believe, not hope, but know that what you're building inside will eventually reflect outside. You're not here to entertain people with your progress. You're here to evolve quietly, powerfully, authentically. Let the world wonder how it happened. Let them ask where it came from. You'll know the truth. It was built in the shadows. It was built in silence. And now it stands unshakable. No one hears the flower growing. No one watches the roots forming beneath the surface. But when the bloom arrives, it's undeniable. Growth doesn't need to be loud, and in fact, the most profound growth never is. It happens beneath the surface, away from the noise, untouched by judgment. When you're growing in silence, you don't owe anyone proof. You are nurturing something real, something powerful. The process doesn't need to be posted. It doesn't need to be announced. It needs to be lived. The louder your intention, the more distracted you become. The world doesn't need to hear you say it's coming. They'll see it when it arrives. Until then, protect the roots. Water the dream. Be okay with being unseen. Because when your moment comes, they'll know it didn't come from nowhere. It came from discipline. It came from clarity. It came from silence. Your job is not to explain. Your job is to become. Words are cheap. Identity is expensive. You don't need to defend your dream, your choices, or your silence. What you're building is not for their understanding, it's for your becoming. Let others question your quiet. Let them misinterpret your calm. It's none of your business. You are not here to prove. You are here to evolve. The only thing that matters is that you are showing up every day as the version of you who already holds the result. That energy speaks louder than explanation ever could. The people who need to see it will. The rest were never meant to. You don't need to win debates, you need to win within. And when that happens, you realize silence was never the absence of action. It was the essence of power. When you speak constantly about what went wrong, you live there. When you describe your pain repeatedly, you recycle it. Your words shape your energy, and your energy builds your future. Every complaint is a message to the universe that you want more of the same. Every explanation of your struggle invites it to stay. The future doesn't grow in the soil of past complaints. Shift the focus. Speak where you're going, not where you've been. Let silence be a reset. Let it cut the ties to the version of you that needed to explain every setback. Don't use your voice to narrate limitation. Use your energy to embody freedom. Your power is not in defending what you survived, it's in choosing what you'll create next. Let silence do the talking while you build something beyond explanation. Miracles don't need noise. They need inner certainty. They don't require attention, they require attention to yourself. The miracle doesn't show up because you convinced the world you're worthy. It arrives because you convinced yourself, and that happens in silence. When you stop arguing for your dream and start living in it internally, you start creating space for it to manifest. You don't need to post your belief. You don't need to campaign for your vision. What you need is stillness, commitment, and emotional alignment. That's where miracles take root. Not in shouting, not in trying to be understood, but in that quiet, private decision to live in the end result, no matter what the outside world looks like. Miracles are not dramatic, they're deliberate. And they're born in the moments when you are alone, certain, and unstoppable. There is a sacred power in silence. It's not empty, it's full of direction. Silence isn't what happens when you don't know what to say. It's what happens when you no longer need to say it. When your belief is so deep that words become irrelevant. That's when creation begins. The world may think you're quiet because you've stopped trying. But silence is never the absence of effort, it's the presence of trust. It says, I don't need to shout. I've already decided. You become magnetic when your actions are aligned and your voice is still. Not because you're hiding, but because you're becoming. The silence you sit in now is building the result they'll see later. And when it arrives, they won't remember your words. They'll remember your strength. They'll remember your stillness. They'll see what silence created. The less you react, the more power you have. Every reaction feeds the old story. Every emotional outburst gives energy to what you're trying to outgrow. Stillness is not passivity, it's precision. When you stop reacting, you become selective with your energy. You begin to master the inner world that creates the outer. Life is always listening not to what you say, but to what you hold. And when you hold peace, discipline, and vision, life reflects it. Let the storm rage. You don't have to respond. Let the delay occur. You don't have to panic. When you stop reacting, you make space for the universe to respond in your favor. Most people are too busy fighting what they don't want to receive what they do. But your silence says, I've already won, I'm already there. And reality responds accordingly. You don't owe anyone your process. You don't owe them progress reports, explanations, or updates. What you owe is integrity. What you owe is staying true to your inner vision, even when no one else sees it. Silence isn't avoidance, it's protection. Every dream is sacred. Not everyone has earned the right to speak into it. Until the dream is ready to bloom, keep it in the soil of stillness. Water it with action. Guard it with discipline. Trust it with your silence. This journey is yours, and when the results show up, you won't have to say a word. They'll speak for you. Let your growth confuse them. Let your peace challenge them. Let your results answer the questions your silence never bothered to address. That's real power. That's quiet leadership. Results speak louder than defense. The dream you manifest in silence will one day become the answer to every doubt, every insult, every dismissal. Let your success be the speech. Let your transformation be the proof. You don't need to fight back, you need to focus forward. The need to explain fades when you begin to embody. The people who didn't believe will ask how you did it. And all you'll have to say is, I stayed quiet. I stayed focused. I became. That's the beauty of silence. It doesn't just protect, it creates. So next time someone questions your process, your pace, or your passion, remember, the most powerful response is no response. Let your life do the talking. Let your progress make the noise. And let your silence be the greatest statement of all. The world may see nothing while you're building. They may assume nothing is happening. But just because they don't see it, doesn't mean it's not real. What's invisible today becomes undeniable tomorrow. Don't rush to prove anything. Don't break your focus to convince anyone. Greatness is rarely recognized in its infancies. Stay hidden if you must. Stay quiet while it grows. Because when the dream breaks the surface, it won't need introduction. It will be unscathed. Every miracle you've nurtured in silence will shine. And when it does, those who doubted will fall silent too. But you won't gloat. You won't explain. You'll simply keep rising. Because now you understand the world moves for those who first moved in silence.